Jason, we're ready.
All right. Good evening. The Dickenson County School Board Special Call Meeting and March Budget Workshop is now in session. For the record, I would like to recognize that all of our school board members are present, including Tanya Baker, the board clerk, Scott Mullins, the school board attorney, and Mrs. Robinson, the division superintendent. This time, would you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have an agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda?
Mr. Hicks, there are no revisions to the agenda, sir.
All right. Hearing no revisions, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So moved. Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right. If opposed, say no. This brings us to the public comment section of the meeting. Mr. Hackney, will you please read the guidelines for public comment? And Mrs. Martin, is Ms. Martin here? Mr. Mullins, can you be our timekeeper?
Yes, sir.
A period of time for public comment will be designated on the meeting agenda during which the public may comment on issues related to public education. The Dickenson County School Board believes that the citizens of the county should be heard and that this is an acceptable format for receiving public comment. After the public comment section of the meeting is closed, the public shall not be allowed to participate in general board member discussions regarding agenda items. Public participation with the board members regarding agenda items can be disruptive, and the practice is prohibited by Robert's Rules of Order. It is the desire of the school board to treat each member of the public fairly and equally. Allowing one individual to participate while excluding others is unfair. The board may hold such public hearings as may be necessary to allow the public to more fully express their concerns, or the board may place the public comment section of any meeting at the end of the meeting to allow additional public comments. While we do not wish to restrict the free expression of opinion, we feel that certain restrictions may be necessary so that order and reasonable standards of decorum may be maintained. We ask that the following standards be adhered. The speaker will be recognized by the chair. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes. Speakers will refrain from the use of vulgarity or profanity and will avoid negative or embarrassing comments directed towards specific children or students. Board members should not respond to issues presented by speakers unless clarification is necessary. Matters of concern raised under public comment will be referred to the proper official for investigation and future board consideration if necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Hackney. The board would like to recognize Mr. Steve Short with VPE.
Chairman Hicks, Chairman of the Board, Lieutenant Robinson. I don't have a lot to say. This is pretty positive.
You're not on. She's going to get you.
That's all right. Yeah, you all hear me.
I won't start over. Looks, based on what I'm seeing, fairly positive for the state of Virginia, economically and in education. We never know how finally they're going to vote, but we know as members of the VPE, we know that you folks will maximize whatever you possibly can get from that, and we're looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to working with you as well. I mean, or just being here, and excited for education in Dickenson County.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Short. We appreciate you being here. We recognize Mr. Taylor, please.
Hello. once again, thank you all for allowing DEA to speak. We are looking forward to, well, we're already in the budget season, so, but we're optimistic. Things are looking good. Positive comments coming from teachers, so this isn't like some other types of budget seasons that we've had, so let's hope that this is another good one and it doesn't drag out until, what was it, August, September, October? This year, like it did last year, so we're looking forward. Numbers are looking good. Hopefully you all take care of us again, so we appreciate all you do for us. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Is there anyone else for public comment? All right, here none. Ms. Taylor, will you present the budget for us? Ms. Taylor, I know there's a lot of stuff you got to cover with this, but my wife has had me painting the kitchen, so please take all the time that you need, okay?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I've already been informed that I am being timed as well.
No, you are not.
That's just a little office joke that we have, but no pressure. But so what we're doing this evening is we're going to take the look at our first draft of the budget. Ryan's going to be pulling that up on a PowerPoint to put it up on the screen there. You do have a copy of that presentation. It looks like this. And you do have a copy of the proposed budget document. So this document will be going back and forth between the two. I will be using both during this time. Okay. The total proposed budget at this point in time is $35,916,394. Just want everyone to keep in mind this is a first draft. We do not have final calculation tools from BDOE at this point. That is because the Virginia General Assembly adjourned on March the 9th, this past Saturday. Luckily, with an adopted budget, but that budget has gone to the governor, and we have to wait until the governor approves that budget before we could possibly get the specific details on those numbers. So this proposed budget that you're going to look at this evening, it's based on the state distribution tables that were made available after the General Assembly voted on Saturday, as well as the calculation tools that we had previously received on the governor's proposed budget. The distribution tables do contain a 3% compensation increase. It's for 201.33 state-funded SOQ positions. Just to keep in mind that Dickenson County Public Schools currently has 337 full-time positions budgeted, which is an additional 135.67 positions over the SOQ funded. The proposed budget that we're going to look at includes salary scale adjustments from 3 to 5%, plus step raises for all full-time Dickenson County Public Schools employees or positions, and an average of 4% increase in part-time rates. And now if you'll move over to this document, fiscal year 24-25 proposed annual budget. Next slide, please. This document has a total state revenue of $22,093,892. Within that total, there is a state share received from those distribution sheets of $21,943,892. We are also budgeting for an additional state grant that is not included in the distribution sheets that we have received in the past few years and expect to receive again next year. This budget is based on a projected ADM, or average daily membership, which is our enrollment number. VDOE has projected that for fiscal year 24-25, that number will be 1,750.55 students, kindergarten through 12th. The required local effort that we have estimated based off of these distribution tables is $3,705,188. That is the minimum to meet SOQ requirements. This budget also contains a required local match with incentive programs of $5,146,387, and that would be any of the optional programs, including the compensation supplement. Next slide, please. Okay. If you'll turn to the first page in your budget document, this is the revenue budget. We're going to go down through the revenue budget line by line. We'll start with the state funding components and SOQ programs. Proposed for next year is sales tax, $2,621,646. Basic aid, $9,533,069. Remedial summer school, $42,627. Gifted, $87,869. Prevention and intervention, $403,649. Special education, $1,221,931. Textbook funds, $219,865. Vocational, $623,322. Social Security, $587,625. VRS retirement, $1,263,120. Group life, $41,189. And English as a second language, $2,688. That's a subtotal for SOQ accounts, $16,648,600. The next section is incentive programs. And these are the programs that would require an additional local match above SOQ. Compensation supplement, $379,109. At risk, $1,237,386. Virginia Preschool Initiative, $383,077. The grocery and hygiene tax hold harmless, $87,108. Technology grant, VSPA, $154,000. The Social Security Equipment Grant, and that's the grant I was mentioning in addition to the state distribution tables, $150,000. That gives us a subtotal for the incentive accounts. The state funding is $2,390,680. Categorical programs include school lunch and special education homebound. School lunch is proposed budgeted at $10,676. Special education homebound, $12,927. Lottery funded programs, ISAEP, $8,203. Foster care, $9,001. Career and technical education, $106,423. Early reading intervention, $103,502. Special education regional tuition, $319,640. At risk, $1,051,987. K through 3 primary class size reduction, $787,245. I'm sorry, that's $782,245. School breakfast, $33,281. Infrastructure and operations per pupil, $559,573. The mentor teacher program, $2,246. SOL algebra readiness, $51,103. Project graduation, $3,805. And that's a subtotal for lottery funds, $3,031,009. That brings us to our total state funds, as mentioned earlier, $22,093,892. We'll go to the next slide, please. We're going to talk about the federal revenue now. Our total federal revenue budgeted for 24-25 at this point is $5,256,847. Within that, $1,192,000 is food services related. $2,362,567 is ESSER 3 and/or ARPA funds. And then our title programs, Perkins, and other federal payments is budgeted at $1,702,280. If you will turn to your next page in your budget document, this is the federal revenue detail. You'll see under federal funding we have Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, Title V, Title VI, Perkins, and preschool handicapped. You'll notice those are budgeted as the same as fiscal year 24, and that is because those programs run on a federal fiscal year. We will not receive the exact amounts until later on, possibly August, September range, and we always do update those when those numbers come in. For our budgeting purposes, we always budget at the current year's levels. Title I is $823,145. Title II, Part A, $110,242. Title III, $1,165. Title IV-A, $60,413. Title V, Part B, Rural, $59,569. Title VI, Special Education, $558,951. Perkins, $57,198. Preschool handicapped, $31,597. And then we'll move on to the food services items. School breakfast program, $355,000. National School Lunch Program, $770,000. USDA Child and Adult Care Food Program, $35,000. Summer Feeding Program, $12,000. Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, $20,000. And now we'll move into the ESSER and/or ARPA funds. ESSER 3, $1,864,294. ESSER 3 Mentor Teacher, $635. ESSER 3 Summer School, $60,787. ESSER 3 Before and After School, $183,653. And the ARPA HVAC grant, $253,198. That brings our total federal funds to $5,256,847. Okay, moving to the next slide, we're going to look at local funds. Let's see, I think. Okay, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Ryan. Local funds, we are at the local appropriation request for fiscal year 24-25. The total is $5,733,141. The required local match within that is estimated at $5,146,387. We are also requesting salary and wage increases, and this was from last year where we were granted an additional $500,000 from Dickenson County towards salary and wage increases. We are asking for that again. And in addition to that, we are asking in order to implement additional salary and wage increases for 24-25. That amount is $86,754, which gives us that total $5,733,141. Our other grants and revenue are estimated at $453,900. We do have some early carryover fund estimates, and those are as of today, and those are subject to change between now and June 30th, and we would adjust those as needed. But that is $2,378,613. Within those are restricted funds. $1,169,984 is the state construction grant. $1,111,629 is the All-In Initiative and Virginia Literacy Act funding. $29,000 for Dolly Parton Imagination Library Program. $18,000 for GED testing, and $50,000 for textbook funds. Next slide, please. Okay, in your budget document, we can go down through the other funds. In detail, those were listed as $453,900. Within those, there is school food service, $45,000. Payments from Medicaid, $150,000. Medicaid admin reimbursement, $20,000. E-rate, $100,000. Adult education miscellaneous account funds, $500. RLA grant, $23,400. Dual enrollment tuition, $15,000. And then any other receipts that we may receive throughout the year is $100,000. That could be anything from rebates, refunds, insurance claims, anything along those lines that are not state funding, not federal funding, would go into that category. This brings us again to our total of $453,900 for other funds. Next slide, please. And I've already gone through the carryover. Those are next in your list. And those are totaling $2,378,613. That does bring our total revenues to $35,916,394. And we will move on to expenditures. I just would like to say as well, if you have any questions along the way, You can choose to hold those until the end, or you can ask them as we go. I'm fine with either way. Okay, looking at our expenditures, salaries and wages are budgeted at $18,110,363. Payroll-related expenses, which is anything from taxes, insurance, any other type of employee benefits or insurances that are necessary, are at $10,856,564. That makes our total personnel-related expenses $28,966,927. And our ratio of personnel-related expenses to total expenses is 80.65%. In general, you're looking for an average percentage on that between 80 and 85, and so being at 80.65 is a good place to be on that ratio. And that leaves everything else in the budget. All of our other expenses, our non-payroll related expenses, are at $6,949,467, which is 19.35% of the budget. Next slide, please. And if you will go to page 3 in your budget document, is where the expenditure budget heading is. We will go ahead and look at the detail on the salaries and wages. School board members, $30,501. Instructional salaries, $10,829,823. Librarians, $310,628. Principals, $410,559. Assistant principals, $353,680. Excuse me. Professional salaries and wages technology, $256,909. School nurses, $212,172. School psychologists, $126,005. Admin coordinators and health services, $985,328. Clerical salaries, $498,978. Teacher aide salaries, $540,234. Mechanics, $160,354. Bus drivers, $1,068,983. Maintenance personnel, $284,303. Custodians, $644,854. Cooks, $37,752. Substitute instructional wages, $572,000. Substitute nurse wages, $16,380. Substitute bus driver, $47,320. Substitute janitor, $52,000. Substitute cooks, $41,600. And then salary supplements for coaching, $130,000, which is our total of $18,110,363 in salaries and wages. Next slide, please. As mentioned, we have the next category is our payroll-related expenditures, and these include FICA, VRS, insurances. A lot of these are based or percentage-based from salaries and wages. Some of these do have standard amounts, but we'll go ahead and read through those. FICA benefits, $1,385,443. Virginia Retirement System benefits for plans 1 and 2, $2,033,748. Virginia Retirement System benefits for hybrid plan, $1,016,013. Health insurance, $6 million. Group life, $92,991. Hybrid disability insurance, $15,000. Unemployment, $5,000. Workers' compensation, $70,000. Retiree health care credit, $208,369. Sick leave, $20,000, and vacation leave payout, $10,000. And there's the subtotal of your payroll-related expenditures, $10,856,564.
Mr. Taylor, the VRS benefits, does that include, the recent discussion about bus drivers, our teachers who drive buses?
Yes, sir. It does include the VRS. Plans have been increased in our budget because effective July 1st, teachers who drive a bus will be able to be eligible and receive VRS for those bus driving wages.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if you will turn the page, we will move to our non-payroll related expenditures, which is everything in our budget that is not related to staffing and employment. Purchase services, $1,240,000. Purchase services specific for virtual school programs, $100,000. Private carriers, $1,500. Student tuition assistance, $15,000. Internet connectivity, $95,000. Utilities, $850,000. Communications, $20,000. Insurance, and this would be non-employee related insurance. This would be general liability and property insurance, $120,000. Leases and rentals, $1,000. Travel, $16,500. Project graduation expenses, $3,950. Materials and supplies, $900,000. Food products, $700,000. Vehicle and equipment, fuel, $350,000. Vehicle and equipment supplies, $200,000. Textbooks, $269,865. Instructional supplies, $96,500. Technology software, $100,000. Non-capitalized technology hardware, $5,000. Student tuition for Governor's School, $3,000. CTE equipment, Perkins, $53,949. Capital outlay replacement, $330,000. Capital outlay additions, $1,178,203. Technology hardware, $200,000. And technology infrastructure, $100,000. Bringing us to our subtotal for non-payroll related expenditures to $6,949,467, and our total expenditures $35,916,394. And coming to the close of the presentation, I'd just like to summarize that information for you. So we have it all here together, and that's the gist that you will mostly leave with this evening. Again, just remember that these numbers are subject to change. This is our first draft, and we are still waiting for detailed information from Virginia and VDOE. Also, this is in your presentation, so if you need to refer to it, is handily in this area. So we'll just go through these again. Our total estimated state revenue, $22,093,892. Total estimated federal revenue, $5,256,847. The local appropriation request total, $5,733,141. Estimated other funds, $453,900. Estimated carryover funds, also subject to change, but that is as of March 13th, $2,378,613. There's total estimated revenue, $35,916,394. And next slide, please. And just a recap of expenditures. Total salaries and wages, $18,110,363. Total payroll-related expenditures, $10,856,564. Total non-payroll expenditures, $6,949,467. Total estimated expenditures in balance with expected revenue, $35,916,394. And then their next slide, Ryan. I'd be glad to answer any additional questions that you may have. As well as if you have some questions later on that you don't have right now, just please reach out to us and let us know. And we will be keeping you updated as more information comes into us.
Board members, anyone have any questions for Ms. Taylor? All right, thank you, Ms. Taylor. All right, this time we'll go into closed session. Closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3711, Paragraph A of the Code of Virginia. There will be a closed session for the purpose of 1, employment issues related to discussion or consideration of specific individuals for employment pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A, to consult with legal counsel regarding the investment of public funds associated with school construction and consultation regarding actual or probable litigation, along with consultation regarding specific matters requiring legal advice pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-71A, 6, 7, and 8 of the Code of Virginia. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
There's got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. All right, board members, is there a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are now out of closed session. Mr. Robinson, will you please read the certification for us?
Yes, sir. Whereas the Dickenson County School Board has convened a closed meeting on the day pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote, and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with the Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dickenson County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only the public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Would you please certify?
I certify.
I certify. I certify.
I certify. I certify.
Okay. Do we have any motions that are come from closed session?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board approve employment recommendations as presented in closed session.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Do we have any other business to discuss? Okay. Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?